welcome to yet another beautiful day and another beautiful episode of Marketing Mavericks, brought to you by Innova DDB Ghana. Now, for those of you who do not know or have not been, on the show or seen the show before, this is where we break down some of the most important marketing topics, and we bring it to you guys in bite-sized, very, very fun chunks that you can digest on and join in the conversation. If you have not joined in this conversation, there's how to do it. Innova DDB Ghana on all social media platforms. You go online and you drop some gems, and we will give you answers as we go along. Again, Innova DDB is the sole owner of this property, and they are the #1 advertising agency for you who wants to crack Ghana's marketing industry. You follow Innova and you ask the questions, and we'll bring you all the resources that will help your company thrive. Now, talking about thriving, today I have some of the most amazing people on the show. When we talk about the Avengers of Ghanaian marketing, this is the actual, the best set that I could have had. And we're here to digest a very important topic. The generation wars have been waging on for long, and today we join in the conversation. And so we're talking about the Gen Z generation, okay? And, whether it is an overhyped generation and what they bring into the world of marketing in Ghana as it stands. Before we waste too much time, I'll go over to my panelists and they will introduce themselves. Like I said, the cream of the crop. We'll start with...
My name is Edward Asare, and I'm a digital first marketing professional, and I'm happy to be here with you, Mr. Otu.
Nice to see you, Edward. On to...
My name is Fatawu Sanie. I'm a digital marketing expert and happy to be here.
I am Ivy Mintah. I am a content creator, also in the marketing space, and then I do influencer management too. Happy to be here as well.
And I am William Lamptey, aka Willie Chambers. I am an actor and a brand influencer, and I'm very happy to be here. Lovely to see everybody.
And online we have a surprise guest who will also introduce himself. Over to you.
Well, hi, my name is Jay Foley. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. My name is Jay Foley. I'm a media personality, radio and television personality. I'm the head of programs for 3 Music TV as well. Yes, and thank you for having me on your show.
Nice to have you with us, Jay. And so we'll just dive right into the conversation. Now, before we can break this down in the marketing perspective, it is key that we understand, the gravity of the generation we are talking about, right? And so we'll start with what I call the D and D, right? We'll define and then we will differentiate, right? And so starting with Edward, can you kindly help us understand a little bit from your perspective, in the work that you do, what Gen Z means?
So there are different definitions for the term Gen Z, and it actually refers to an age range of people between the year 1995, some say 1997, to somewhere 2012, some also say 2015. So if you are born between this age range, they refer to you as a Gen Z. So that is just a short definition of what it really means. Yeah.
Just a short one. I'll maybe move to Ivy. Ivy, can you help us, buttress the definition?
I think with what Edward has said, he's pretty much defined it, but I also want to say that, like, where we are now, the definition of Gen Z is not even about just the age and when you're born. They look at how you behave and they automatically tag you with, like, characteristics. They see you do certain things and, oh, you're a Gen Z, or you're behaving like a Gen Z.
Which means I can be a Gen Z.
You can be a Gen Z.
I'll be filing my nomination form. I'll go over online to Jay. Like I was saying before we started, we've seen you on TV. You literally have transcended the generations, and you keep, props to you. You just keep redefining yourself, and you fit right in. From your perspective, having come through the phases, what do you see in, Gen Z that is different from, other generations that you interact with?
You know, when the topic was shared earlier on, okay, I just smiled and I laughed because I said I knew a day would come where such a conversation would become very, very important. For us to really understand what is happening to the world as it is now in terms of since when did age demographics become such a big talk? Since when did we start categorizing? Since when did we start hyping certain age demographics? I mean, years ago, if you're talking age demographics, you're talking it's either you are young or you're old. But now look at how we've broken it down into various age ranges in terms of birth times, years, and now as well defined by her. She said the characteristics and behavioral attitudes and all. So I'm excited to see this thing happen. I've like you said, I've come from a certain generation of now we say millennials. I'm turning 41 now. Some people even doubt it when I say I'm turning 4. I'm sorry, I'm turning 42 now. I'm 41 now, and some people even doubt it when I say I'm 41. They say you don't look it, you don't do this, you don't do that, and that's the reason why I like what she said earlier on about behavior, look and feel. If you can just put it as such, it's it's um it's quite surprising how, again, and I repeat, how we have suddenly created a trend where age demographics is now defining a certain type of marketing. And I'm not saying that years back products were not being sold to children or to adults, but it's now being a bit more intentional because we have now really found a way to categorize these things. Um, just jumping ahead of the question into this whole conversation about Gen Zs, I feel it is not necessarily overhyped. I feel it is just a trend. It's just a wave of a conversation that eventually, just like many other things, would pass. It is a moment where a lot of people that fall within that age bracket have decided to amplify their activities. They've amplified their activities so much so that it has now become the conversation of the day. But I'm sitting here in Malawi, joining this call, and ever since I touched down here, if you ask me this question about Gen Zs again, I would answer you differently. Because my perception of Gen Zs when I am in Ghana isn't the same perception of Gen Zs and their influence as I sit here in a country like in an southeastern country like Malawi. Not to say that it isn't a major conversation here, but if you look at the tools that create this conversation, Gen Zs, which is digital media, hence the reason why you have a lot of digital marketing people seated there. If you look at that conversation in a country, for example, here in the southeastern part of Africa, where it is almost out, for want of a better expression, it is a developing country, maybe coming from a third world into a second world. Internet penetration isn't as mass as you see in Ghana or you see in Nigeria or you might see in other West African countries, South Africa and even South Africa, for example. So you ask yourself again, is the Gen Zs that we speak of that much of an influence in a southeastern country as I sit in here as compared to Ghana?
Right.
If you ask yourself that question, then you start realizing that it is a certain tool that is amplifying this conversation. Right. And that tool is rightly answered with the guest you have selected to join us today, digital media.
Right.
We didn't select people from Ghana Statistical Services to sit here to have a conversation with us. We call people who understand a certain device or a certain tool that the Gen Zs use a lot to create influence for themselves, and which is the social media platforms or digital marketing platforms. But will that be the case in a country where you have less internet penetration? You check out the numbers that you have here, it will surprise you that a country that has over 21 million people, internet penetration doesn't even probably exceed 4 million or 3 million. So again, you ask yourself, are Gen Zs really influential here, or just a Ghanaian or certain countries that this conversation is being had? And I'll leave it that here for now.
Yeah, Jay is taking us to certain whole new dimensions to the conversation. And, like he said, he just did an offshoot to give you guys an idea of where we are going with the conversation. Before we go, though, I'd like a last differentiator from William, who is a self-professed Gen Z class prefect, right? So, Will, from your end.
So, with me, I would say the difference between the Gen Zs and then the other generations is that I feel the other generation have been like accustomed to the traditional way of, marketing or traditional way of doing things, like traditional media. But with Gen Zs, we have developed to the digital media, most people are doing now. And I feel we are equipped with technology. I feel that is the difference. Technology is the difference.
Yeah, technology is the difference. So, marketing strategies are being impacted. Business models are having to shift, right? And it's very interesting because now we are sitting in a space where we are trying to be wizards, to look into the future and see what that means, right? For me, being a millennial, I've been carried along the journey. So it's very important to know where we are headed, right? So I'll take it quickly from Edward and then possibly from Jay. What do you think the long-term impact is going to be on these, strategies and business models?
So when it comes to marketers like us here, our main goal is to reach a target audience. So the reason why this topic has become very important is that we are trying to segment the various audiences that we have. And that is why I think that it is not an overhyped thing. It's just that I think that we, the marketers, have found a way to target a certain group of people who were born in a certain time period where technology was very prevalent. And because of that, it has kind of modified or influence the way these set of people, one, they consume information and they purchase and all of those things. So that is the reason why this conversation is very important. So for we the marketers, we have noticed a trend where because of the prevalence of technology and digital media and AI, we have to now shift our focus massively to digital media. Some few years ago, when you say you're a social media manager or marketer, nobody really respects you. When you're having a conversation, you say you're a social media manager, they'll be like, so what real job do you do? They don't see that as a job. But right now, different organizations have now set up and they are placed out in as part of the organogram of the organization, which means that our role now in the organizations have become very, very much important. So for those organizations who don't really rate this aspect of marketing and communications, they are really missing out. And if they are not doing it, this is a really good time for them to come on board. Those who started long ago, they are the ones who actually benefited from all of this digital media hype and all of that when it comes to this very age. So I'm really looking at a world where we are really going full digital. And even the traditional media, they have also set up a digital aspect of their operations now, so that even what they are doing traditionally is actually being shown to these and Gen Zs as well. Yesterday, just to end, I went to an event where we have a lot of young folks there. And they mentioned some of the very top media professionals. They mentioned some of the things that are going on right now in the country, and they have no idea what those people are, because to them it is either TikTok or Snapchat. If you're not having a conversation with someone on Snapchat, they feel like, Charlie, you're old school. So I think this is where the conversation is going. We are really going full digital, and the companies who take advantage of these are really going to benefit a lot from it.
It's nice to hear that from you, because it's now clear that social media digital used to be a space for hobbying, like a leisure ground, and it's somehow found its way to add monetization and all these other things that have really affected how people deal with them. Jay, just a quick pick from you. What do you think the long-term impact is going to be?
Great. Let me just in my line of duty as a television host, I always like to trigger my guests so that we have certain kinds of conversations. I like to look really outside the box. So it might sound like I'm talking gibberish, but there's a lot of meaning coming to it. And I throw a question back to ourselves. If you take digital media away, what is Gen Z? This called Gen Z. Digital media has come for everyone, has not come for Gen Z. I don't have data and facts to whether the largest consumers of digital media are Gen Zs. I can't speak to that. Maybe they are. I'm sure the team there can assist with that information. But political parties use social media. And none of those Gen Alphas are claiming that they are the most influential. And if you ask them, politicians are very influential. Religious bodies are using digital media to communicate. It's not about Gen Zs, it's to communicate. So we have to draw the fine line between what this Gen Z is. What is their influence? If you take digital media away from them, what are they? If you ask me, they are nothing. It's just another generation of people who have found a certain tool to amplify themselves. But the same way they found that tool, I mentioned politicians, I mentioned pastors, religious bodies, I've seen CSR organizations, all of them are all using the same platform to create influence. Again, if you are in a country where internet penetration is not at that peak as you think it is, then you ask yourself again, what is this Gen Z thing that we talk about? What is the real influence? Are they really, really influential? No, they are not influential. It depends on the geographical the territory you find yourself in. Because I drove along certain towns and villages, and I noticed that if you were having a conversation with these people about the influence of Gen Z, which they constitute the mass market of, and I keep on using here as an example because up until I was in Ghana, it meant something different. If you ask this question when I was seated in Ghana a week ago, I'd be answering the question saying the same things as everybody would say, that yes, Gen Zs are using digital media to push the future of it is Gen Zs, all of those things. But when I shifted my location and I got to a place where I realized that the bigger community hasn't got access to internet, hasn't got access to, doesn't qualify these generations as we think it is. What is the conversation again? So I've always asked my question. I want to put it back to us that if you take digital media away from Gen Zs, what is it? What is the influence? Where are we? What is the future of it? And it's a question that I don't have the answer to, but I throw it back to the team.
I like where Jay is taking the conversation to, and it comes back, I think, in my opinion, to the differentiators. Jay is coming from a space where, or from my space as well, where we grew with the technology, but the technology was in infancy, right? And the current generation has harnessed that technology because it's at the peak of what it can do. But it's very interesting for me to hear him from the perspective of being in a country where all of these things do not apply, right? So then it's like in Malawi, who is a Gen Z and how are they affecting those, that society? I think we'll come to that. Jay, thank you so much. That's like one of the most important things for us to look out for. But then I'll just move on to, a gentleman who has not spoken, who is the assistant class prefect for Gen Zs in this conversation, right? So, very important question, right? How can brands build long-term loyalty with a generation that values immediacy, right, over, legacy? And we some of the characteristics for Gen Z are shown in especially how information is shared now, bite-sized, very short, 6 seconds in and out. How do we harness that short attention span or that readiness to leave legacy media, legacy stuff away and move into these new, very quick spaces?
Okay, thank you. And as the assistant class rep for Chinese, first I want to speak on what Jay said and then I'll come quickly. That's right. So it's true that Gen Zs, we are known for the device. Aside the device, we are just an ordinary population. Millennials and other generations need to understand that when Facebook came in 2010, Gen Zs were like 12 years old, 11 years old, 13 years old. The oldest Gen Z is 27 years old. You get it? So these people grew in those technologies. So if that's all they know, people should cut themselves.
I had a feeling the Gen Zs on the table would have something. Because William, I know you have something to say, William, but we'll come to that. So just
back to how brands can leverage this. The only platform Gen Zs know is their telephones. And these telephones are their phones, and these phones were not created by Gen Zs. They were created by these same millennials. Like if you think about it, they created the internet, they created everything for us. So they created this and they didn't
So
know.
why are people fighting us now?
So they created this. So for brands to be able to use this same platform, you need to know that these Gen Zs have different values from the millennials. Gen Zs care about support. Support in every way. Gen Zs care about being appreciated in every way. In the sense that if, let's say, you're a restaurant business and a Gen Z or anyone comes to sit at your place, you tell them the meal will be ready in 15 minutes, the meal takes like 20 minutes. I am a Gen Z. I will expect that, look, you give me a discount or you give me some dessert or something, like compensate me. But if not, I'll sit, okay, you've delayed me, and I'll go and give you a bad review somewhere. We do that on Boat Food, we do that on Uber, we do that on Google reviews, like we do that everywhere. Gen Zs are like that, and Gen Zs, most brands need to start. Gen Zs like instant gratification. Everything has to be instant. It's through our generation that Uber came, delivery came. So it's because of our needs that people wanted to service, that's why. So we people need to look at the fact that we like fast-paced things. We don't care about your past, we care about present. So anything you do, you need to make it convenient to us.
I could hear
Can
Jay.
I ask you a question?
You want to ask a question?
I'm sorry, my job is, yes, I want to ask a question. So what happens to a 26-year-old boy or girl who is, heavy in the Gen Z space, who grows to be 30 years or 32 years? Would he still complain if he goes to a restaurant and there's food delay? And would that characteristic define him as a Gen Z? Or it is the platform which gives us a chance to express our feelings?
I believe
at any age.
I believe these values would grow with us.
Yeah.
I believe if these values, because boomers had a different upbringing, so things that like being patient for your time, and respecting the elders, no matter even if they are wrong, like those things still stick with them. But we, the Gen Zs, I'm sure these values will follow us. So if in future brands will need to follow us throughout this, like there will kind of be like a legacy for Gen Zs in this space. Yes.
Right. I think Ivy would like to weigh in on that.
Yeah. So first, I want to also talk about what Jay Foley said. I think the reason why we're even talking about digital marketing is because we're speaking on a marketing platform. But when you look at, there are other things that you can look to see that this person is a Gen Z with the internet taken away, with these social media platforms taken away. You know, the way we approach life, the way we dress, like what Fatawu said, our approach to certain things, like the way we like instant gratification, you know. And so I think that in as much as we are talking about the marketing today, taking out internet and then social media platform does not change the fact that someone is a Gen Z. It will still remain, and then you would see it in the way they present themselves. Some of us do not come off like that. Maybe we probably don't dress the part, we don't look the part, we don't talk the part. But then you will find that people are in that space. And so I also want to speak about the fact that if you're talking about how brands can build loyalty with Gen Zs, I think some of these products that we're experiencing today are because of our needs and the things that we want. Just like Fatawu mentioned, like you have Uber, you have Boat Food, and then there are spaces created on these apps for you to be able to give your reviews. That is because we like to talk and we like to give feedback when we experience something, even though we don't take it very well, right? Even though we don't take it very well, but we like to give feedback and then make sure that some things are attended to with immediacy. So these platforms have been created to match up to that. I also want to add that for every generation that has come to pass, I feel like there has been this conversation. It hasn't just been loud because of the lack of the internet, because millennials probably were in the part where they were also so loud.
Used to be the bad boys.
Exactly. So this conversation will keep happening, and then we'll keep having to decipher how to work around this particular generation and the next. It would probably not be Gen Zs all the time. We might leave a lasting mark. I mean, why not? But then it would not be us all the time. The generation alphas would also come, and then they will leave their mark. And then we've seen what they are already doing. But I mean, unfortunately, the Gen Zs have overshadowed them, and then we still have a legacy. So
You guys are really, really, wherever Jay is, he wishes he was here physically, because this conversation will carry beyond, beyond
I mean, I like what you just said, and it's your last point is what I really even agree with you the most on. But I'm taking it back to when I was 21. In fact, let me take it back to when I was like maybe 14 or 15. There was a young guy who didn't have digital media to his advantage. His name was Reggie Rockstone, who introduced a certain kind of music, who introduced a certain kind of dressing culture. Reggie would go shirtless. That we see Chris Arthur would do today. Reggie would go shirtless in his Campbell pants and his Timberland boots. We didn't need to see Reggie Rockstone on social media. Wasn't even there. But just his influence, even with traditional media when he was young, is what, if at that time, if there was a terminology, we'll be using Gen Z as well. So like you rightly said, for me, I think it's just that digital media has come to amplify a trend or a wave or a certain terminology called Gen Z. But it's been there for years. When I was young, I mean, I was on Foresight TV. I did television when I was like 19, 20, 21. That was like what? Like 19 years ago. And it sparked a certain culture of television magazine shows. I saw so many young people as well whom today I see them and I'm just laughing and saying that, yeah, I'm proud because I also influence the culture. The same way as you'd go on social media right now and create a hairstyle, and next thing you know, it's a trend. It's because the platform available at that time is digital media. The platform available at that time is traditional media.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been having some very fruitful conversations here with my Avengers of panelists, right? And it's been all about Gen Zs. There are some notions that have been challenged. There's a lot of information that has been shared. Right about now, we'll go into a quick break. And when we come back, we will continue the discussions further. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you after this break. Okay, and so the conversation has been, very interesting so far. I'm so glad we have, the panelists that we have because they know a lot about the topic. And the topic is Gen Z overhyped? Do they really have market-moving power? And so now that we are talking about, markets, right? In the past, one of the greatest avenues for selling has been traditional media and has been, the traditional ways of doing things. As we speak now, for those of you who do not know, TV is one of the main media sources that is struggling. Newspapers are definitely struggling. And it's interesting to know how this is affecting, our market. So I'll probably take it from Willie first. So, William, how as marketers, how are we going to navigate this period where traditional marketing is sort of taking a back burner?
So, well, for me, I would say now everybody prefers digital media. Everybody. I mean, it's the fastest way to get things done. I'm not saying traditional media is not effective. It is effective, but now, as compared to before, it's not giving. Because we, as Gen Zs, we want to consume information as soon as possible. You get it, and that's where like the market is like it has to be such. We want to be in a saturated space. But for me, imagine Ivy going by the newspaper stand to go buy a newspaper to now like get to know about certain all information going on in the world is going to be like take a long time, and time is money. We want to do things. We want to do things where like we are okay and do it at a fast pace. You can't be sitting in your trotro or your Uber with a newspaper looking through. Now, even our iPhones, we don't have the radio apps on it. You get it. So I feel it's affecting traditional media greatly. So like I think my brother was saying, they have to find a way to merge the traditional media with the digital media. Sometimes I think certain radio stations or even TV stations have their broadcast on the social media platforms and things, and I think it gives us the chance to also consume such content.
Yeah. I'll throw it to Edward. Is it that we are afraid of change? Because, you know, what he said also sort of brought to mind the fact that the media is kind of changing. It's not really, I mean, yes, what it used to be seems to be dying off. But you would find newspapers now have podcasts, now have so many new ways of, you know, bringing that same old information, but in the, you know, in the new wave, right? So from you, I mean, how does this translate into what we are doing as marketers?
Okay. So I think what we're doing, this discussion we're having, we are touching the generation more to the people than the times. And I believe that various times have come with various characteristics and some innovations that determine how we as human beings behave. So the prevalence of technology, internet, digital media have come to change how we human beings behave. So it doesn't matter whether you are a millennial or you're a boomer or you are a Gen Z, as we are discussing right now. Some of these things that have come would in a way change how you want things done. In fact, I am a millennial and I also want things fast because now there is LTE. So if I come to your mobile app as a bank and it's not loading fast, I'm switching to the other bank. Does that make me a Gen Z? No, because the time have come with certain characteristics that affect how we act as human beings. And that sends us into consumer behavior. That is what we, the marketers, do. We study how people react at a certain stage or certain time period. We do the same thing. Now, these digital, traditional media platforms have noticed that because of the prevalence of all of these technology, people, consumer behavior have changed. Now, if I could get graphic or the papers in a digital form quickly, why would I waste time, walk all the way to the bar stop to go and buy one? So even regardless of which generation you are in, you want something that is done quickly than, slowly. So I think because of that, it is really making the traditional media suffer a lot in these times. And those that are not innovating are actually dying out gradually. That notwithstanding, we still have some people who really rely on traditional media as some form of trust or reputation building. So in as much as you've seen an ad on Instagram, you've seen an ad on Google, it is those brands that you see their billboards outside and be like, they have money, so I want to deal with them. Are you here with me?
Yeah.
Or those who have been able to do an activation like, this way they have money. If you see a big billboard of a certain company, you'll be like, it's because they have money, I can put my trust in them. It is still traditional, but is it still relevant? Yes, it is. Even though much of the traffic is being driven online. And please take note, those of us who are making the noise plenty, we the marketers, this is what we do. We rely on the young folks who are making noise to talk about a certain product for the big men to go and buy. Are you here with me? So they are using us. Yeah. They are giving us the chicken change, the influencer marketing, we are happy. But at the end of the day, they still want to sell to those people at the top because they want to create a certain buzz. One day when you get there, you also go and do the same thing. Of course, the attention is going towards traditional digital media, but the relevance of traditional media is somehow still
relevant. Yeah. So, I mean, talking about still relevant, right? Yeah. Fatawu, I see you are raring to go. I'm actually coming to you. Does this mean that there will be a time that traditional media will die? Is there going to be a time that we will not have newspapers anymore? We will not have to go on to TV to watch adverts anymore. Do you foresee a time when that legacy bit, I mean, Elon is doing his best to destroy legacy media as we speak, right? So from you, we want you to be the Wizard of Oz. Look into your ball and tell us the future.
Yeah, there won't be a time. There won't be a time where traditional will get extinct.
The internet doesn't forget to.
Yeah.
We'll keep this video for later.
like there won't be a time where we'll stop using traditional media. Like marketing, we have the marketing mix. You need to combine both digital and traditional. You have to. And depending on some products, digital won't cut it. Digital will give you your views to show that, okay, this brand is there. Traditional will give you the trust. I'm talking about the real estate space. I'm talking about the spaces where you need to, a product costs over $20,000, like $20,000 or even CDs. In those spaces, digital won't cut it. You need to mix it up. You need to do your digital. You need to present on digital. You need to have your billboards to show, because most of the big men, the only social media they use is WhatsApp and Facebook, but they drive. they sit in traffic. They'll see your billboard. Now in Ghana, it's become a meme for you to say, Nanama is your brand ambassador. Because she's everywhere. But she's not appealing to we, the young people, but she's appealing to our mothers. Because even though we are the consumers most of the time, they are the customers. Like, they make the purchasing decision. So these reasons make traditional will always be traditional. We just need to learn how to embrace the fact that now we have digital, so we need to combine these things. And my brother rightly said, radio is now becoming podcast. Radio is the same as podcast, but just radio online. Yeah. Basically, TV is also streaming. I just need to follow with the tides, accept that, okay, digital is here to stay. We just need to adapt. We just need to blend ourselves, and we can sell every product as much.
Can sell every product. I would have glossed over Ivy, but she was moving with the ebbs and flows of your submission. So Ivy, maybe you put the cherry on the top of that.
My contribution to this would be
Ivy is
traditional as we know it, right, and as it's supposed to be, will no longer be there.
So you guys are on your
and that's a hill I will climb. And yeah. The reason why I'm saying this is because he has already mentioned it. Radio is becoming podcast now. You know, TV now you have to stream. You know, you would watch, like we have Showmax, and now they are becoming like Netflix. You know, you have to stream some of these things. Right now, you don't necessarily see people, personally, I don't remember the last time I watched any of our traditional TV stations. Yeah, and so traditional as we know it, it's even becoming more of like a hybrid thing. It's not just traditional anymore. What happens to when there's a time when they say, because of environmental, you can't print newspapers anymore? Or you can't put up banners like we have in town, and you'd have to stick to these LED digital billboards. I would say traditional as we know it will get to a point where it will not be like that. Like how someone can walk. You will be forced to read the news online. I do read newspapers sometimes, but I don't buy the paper. Like, I read it online, you know, and it's even in color. It's even in color.
The color is your problem.
Yeah, not even my problem, but that's what I'm saying. Traditional as we know it will not be the traditional we know. Secondly, most of the time, you can't even track metrics properly when it comes to traditional. And brands are getting more specific. Like, they want to know who bought it. And that is why people are creating technology that can track people's, and that's why you can do retargeting on social media and then get to someone who just saw it the first time, someone who saw and liked, someone who saw, liked, and read the comments, and then you can target to the point where you can get this person to click the link in your bio to go and buy. So for me, I don't think traditional will be traditional as we know it.
I think you should have capped that off with, ladies and gentlemen, reporting live from 2055.
Yeah, reporting live from 2055.
Well, yeah, it's interesting to note. And as we go along, hopefully we'll get to, this debate goes on forever. But hopefully we get to experience it and we understand where the future for traditional is going. But now, to discuss one of the cornerstones of the debate, right? A lot of people are saying now that we are, actually, during the course of the week, I heard an advert for an app that helps you talk, to be a better conversationist, right? And it was literally AI giving you some personalities to choose from to speak to. And in my mind, I was thinking, I'm learning how to speak to people by speaking to an AI first. And it sounded very weird to me because in my head, I was like, how does that even work? Like, how is the computer now training me to learn to speak to normal people, right? So, it comes back to issues of leadership, issues of interpersonal skills, right? I'll take it from William. How do you think the current generation is going to learn some of these rather very traditional skills within this tech dispensation?
For now, it's very difficult because the scenario just cited. AI teaching you how to have interpersonal skill. I feel like you need to be there to experience it. It's all about the experience. So if people don't go out, people don't meet people to have conversations. How do you get to build these personal skills? And I feel it's making a lot of people I feel shy or timid for a second, or everybody wants to be in their personal space when they go out. It's very sad, because sometimes you can go out, you meet like fellow celebrities or people who are like influential and all that, and everybody is like, everybody the same body that way. Nobody wants to talk to anybody. Meanwhile, you go on the person's page, you like their content and everything, but you see them and then you're trying to, be in your own shell. So I feel people need to come out, meet people, have conversation, have meaningful conversations. I mean, hang out.
Yeah.
And live. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
People need to live.
It's finding the balance in life, right? I saw Edward nodding his head, so I'll probably come to you, your thoughts.
So, in these times where everything is being automated, and with the prevalence of AI and all of this technology, we are seeing human connection being taken away from the whole marketing communication process. But I have come to realize that it is those organizations that are focusing on putting back the humanity into marketing that are going to do well. So for instance, some few months ago, Innova DDB engaged me to be one of their people to rock one of their customers' attires. I don't know whether I can mention the name here.
You can keep down that.
Okay. Yeah. And why are they doing that? They want to be able to connect to my followers. So you notice that in these current times, we are using a lot of ads and programmatic advertisement and sponsored ads in our communications. Do you know what's happening now too? We have a lot of people downloading and installing ad blockers on their devices. Are you here with me? That aside, with the prevalence of digital media too, trust is being taken away. Anytime you are going to a page to buy something, you double check and check again because you don't want to be scammed of your little money. Yeah. So what do we now do? We have to have a human face to the various products and services that we are trying to market. So we are trying to now use things like executive influence. So the executives of various companies are now bringing out their own faces to say that, hey, I'm the MD of so-and-so company. I want to wish you a happy Easter. I want to wish you Merry Christmas, or anything of that sort. What are they doing? They are trying to connect with their audiences. There's also employee engagement, which is also trying to put back the humanity into the marketing process. And then user-generated content. Now, even beside the celebrities, people who are having 1,000, 500, 2,000 followership are being used by Innova DDB for their marketing process because, one, they want people to give some form of human, testimony about the product that they are trying to market. And the organizations that leverage this form of humanity, ability to communicate with other people, are the ones that are going to do well. Let me end on this very note, okay? Now, even your content that you are creating on these platforms, they are not supposed to be perfect. If they are too perfect, you don't like it.
Exactly.
You don't like it. If you like, this thing is too correct. Even if you are reading a caption and the caption, there is no mistake inside. Now they bore you.
Yeah.
But if you see mistake, no, like,
good.
This is a human written thing.
Yeah.
So what are we trying to do now? We are trying to use human beings, to communicate, to do all of this advertisement for us, so that to give some form of human aspect. If you're not doing that, you're rather shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. I think, somewhere along our conversation, I almost said that. I think it's so interesting to know, going through marketing school and thinking we are going to shoot big ads. It's going to be Hollywood level. It's going to be that. And then you now come and you see people selling on like skits. And it's not perfect, it's not edited, it's like, you would almost think that the generation has decided to just dumb down its consumption of things down to the barest minimum. You and I, we are friends. I know you. You can make your errors. That's what makes me know you are human. And that's a very interesting, very, very interesting point. I will throw it out to Jay because I hear Jay is back on. Jay, we are just talking about building interpersonal and leadership skills, in this current dispensation. And we want to hear from you how you think tech has come to either make, our relationships better or not. It's interesting because sometimes you watch adverts for some of the big, whether it is telcos or anyone selling you connectivity, and you see that they are telling you that, tech actually bridges the gap. But we've had some conversations here that suggest otherwise. So we want to hear from you. how your thoughts actually on that.
I think I like what Edward just said, that, you know, for the brands that are trying to put, and I think it's just spot on, that are trying to bring humanity back into some of these spaces, it's the ones that would really thrive later on. I always say that regardless how tech would come in and alter the way we do things, which is normal for growth, because, I mean, we're not still in Adam and Eve's time, so things would have to change. One of the things I'm always strong on is the fact that humanity, and that's why I like what he just said, humanity is humanity. It would always precede the conversation. Without interpersonal relationships, without AI can sit in the next 10 years and talk on my behalf. Yeah, that's fine, but that's the up until then. But it will always need the AI to understand me before it's able to replicate what I think or who I want to be or how I speak. Every time humanity would always precede it. Like no matter how much humans would try, and let me just say this. So there's a guy on TikTok I follow. His name is Brian Cox. Is it Brian Cox? Yeah, I think Brian Cox. He's an astrologist. You know, all those people who don't believe in God and they believe heavily in evolution. And when you listen to him speak, it would always end back at, even though they believe there is no God and it was evolution, they will always end back at science takes us only to a certain point. And beyond that point, there's the unknown. It is the unknown that we debate about and find out, is there really a creator or the world just came about by itself? But from where we sit now, since a bigger chunk of the world believes that there's a creator because there's a certain question that is unanswered, which is how did we come about? Humanity would always prevail. I believe that yes, tech would do everything it can take us to the moon and back. Tech would alter the way we buy food. Tech would alter the way, and we do all those engagements. But without humanity, what power does the tech have? Yeah. You may enter a world of robots, but at the end of the day, you will still need a certain human touch before that thing is done. And that is what, if I am going to be spiritual, that is the superpower that our creator would have over everything at the end of the day. Again, we'll go to the sun and we'll come back, but what would drive us to the sun will be the mind, will be the thoughts, will be the ability to think, to create something that can go there. And no matter how much a robot can be able to create these things, at the end of the day, you can never quantify the brain power to that of what is man-made. You know, so that's where we are at. The future is bright for tech, but humanity is brightest.
Right. Jay is saying out to all of you who are planning to buy robot girlfriends, please. Anyway, so we are wrapping it up. You see what I'm going to. It's been a very, very engaging conversation, right? And wrapping it up, we just bring it back to everyone, right? So I'll take it micro statements from everyone. Okay. Now, in a price-sensitive world, right? Would like to know from you final thoughts, final advice to companies out there. How are we going to harness, this particular generation that is powered by the internet, that's powered by, a certain level of connectivity that other generations never had, right? How are we going to harness these attributes, these characteristics to be, profitable, especially, in a space where pricing is very, very key? I'll take it from our First Lady, and then we'll come down to everyone else. So, Ivy.
I think for us, we want to get our money's worth anytime we're paying for something. And honestly, there has been a miscommunication as to what we like and what we represent. And that's why sometimes you go to some of these restaurants and there's more aesthetics than food. We wouldn't choose the beauty of a place. And I see like there's conversations or there's outbursts on those things. If I'm giving you money, especially in a time where I have to work 2 or 3 jobs to earn what I'm earning in a month, and I'm giving you money, you have to give me my money's worth. Otherwise, I'm reporting you on whatever app you're on, and I'm taking my money back, and I'll eat the food too. But then I'll still take my money back. And so I just think that aside from them giving us or packaging things and giving it to us, we just don't look at the surface sometimes. we look at what's inside too. And that's what sometimes people miss. They think they can package something and give it to a Gen Z, and that's the end of it. I'm looking at what's outside. Like, I want you to do more. Like, surprise me, you know? Like, yeah, don't just give me something that's packaged and then you expect me to go away, be jolly and all of that. So for companies, when it comes to the pricing side, I think they should give us what our money is worth.
Kindly serve our money's worth. I'll go on to William.
Yeah, I would say she said
Spot on.
everything spot on, spot on. I mean, it's not only about just the packaging and then the aesthetics, like she said. It's about what's inside. Are you giving me my money's worth? It's very, very, very important, and I think this conversation has to go a long way, and companies need to act spot on with it too as well. Because if you don't provide, if you don't deliver your service, we'll bash you. Yeah, we'll bash you, exactly.
Okay, Fatawu.
Yeah. I think the conversation about price is you need to know your customers.
Exactly.
You need to know your customers. So people will pay what they have to pay to get any service they need. So let's say, for instance, a place like Alora Beach or a place like Twist or Skybar. When you go there, you expect to pay like above 100 cedi, 200 cedi for anything. And they know the kind of customers that they want to serve. So pricing has to do with your target audience. That's how I see it. If you're an FMCG, then you should be concerned about being expensive. If you are a private business that has specific customers, I think your price won't be the issue, but the quality of service you give. Because most of us will be okay making a reservation at any restaurant and then maybe paying for that reservation. We don't care about the price. We just care about the person we are buying it from and the kind of value it gives us. A place like Alora, as I mentioned, it's like, okay, I like to go there because I value being around bougie people. So I'd rather go there, or Skybar, around bougie. So I'd rather go there and spend like 300 cedi, 400 cedi, because like that's why. But if I go to a low class place, I'll be like, why is this drink costing 70 cedis, 40 cedis? It's too expensive. So I think it's a matter of products or who you are selling to. That's where the price conversation needs to come.
Understanding the consumer and knowing that they like bougie things. Okay. And so, Edward?
All right. So for we, the marketers, there are some things that really matter to us, which is consumer behavior, our target audience, the market segmentation, just like I indicated earlier. All of these things have a role to play on the pricing of goods and services. And let me say again that let's try to relate the period of Gen Z to the time frame and not to the human beings. And because of the things and the technology and the innovations that have happened during this period, it has brought about a lot of substitutes when it comes to goods and services. And the more substitutes you have, the more sensitive price can be. So what that means is that when you are trying to purchase a good from one place and maybe the price is too much, I can just switch to another one and find another option there because of the prevalence of digital media. Some few years ago, where it is very difficult to find a substitute for a particular good, sensitivity to price is very low because if you don't buy this one, there is no other choice. Or even if you send it to goods and services, when you go onto maybe a mobile app and you're trying to use that for a particular service and it is misbehaving, it can quickly change. So what has happened is that with the prevalence of digital media in this current dispensation, it has brought about numerous substitutes for various goods and services, which has made price to be very, very sensitive to we the consumers. And with this one in mind, it is very important for organizations and producers of goods and services to be very, very quick in the way they provide services to these people to keep them on. Because with the prevalence of now substitute now, loyalty is becoming very, very, very low for goods and services. Now, my brother Otu, you have more than 5 mobile banking apps on your phone.
Definitely.
Me, I have like 10. I'm sure Ivy has many. Are you here with me? So the moment you're using this one is misbehaving, just quickly move your money into another mobile banking app and use it. Now it has become very sensitive for us. So the banks, the various organizations have to make sure that they are trying to really provide the services to these people quickly as much as possible. The turnaround time is very quick. The how stable their digital platforms are very quick. Customer service is quick. Customer experience is good enough, because then again, if you misbehave, no, Ivy is going online to report you on your page. All of these things are there to make sure that with the sensitivity of price, you, the organization, is also getting the worth or the money you deserve to make a profit at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So speaking to worth, and then finally, Jay online, Jay, you'll give us your closing thoughts on the subject.
Well, I think Edward has just wrapped it up nicely. I'm not even bother adding anything to it. He's just been spot on the conversation, and I truly, he's a sharp guy. I should coach him one of these days and offer him more value, a higher price, isn't it? To all the panelists as well. And then the last thing I'll just add on to is that if we truly believe that, and this goes across to anybody who has a social media app, if we truly believe that the Gen Zs carry a certain level of influence, then as patriotic as we can be, let us use that influence, or let them use that influence to help shape the narrative of the price or the...
It's a cross-generational thing to help empower each and every one of us to be able to take charge, whether it's your business, your personal brand, whether it is a business that you work for, just to be able to take... the show, Marketing Mavericks, has been brought to you by Innova DDB. I would like to say thank you so much. You can catch them on social media. It's Innova DDB Ghana on all social media platforms. I'd like to say thank you so much to MX24 as well for giving us the platform, for giving us the very lovely studios to be able to bring this to you wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been discussing, are Gen Zs overhyped, or do they have, the market moving power, right? And there's been so many powerful things that have been said here. I know you'll get the chance to watch this, and you will have the chance to rewatch it as many times as you like. Now, what I'm going to throw out to my producers is to make sure that each and every one of the lovely people I've had on here have their handles on our posts, so you guys can go and follow and ask as many extra questions as you like. My name is Mister Otu, and I've been joined here by William, by Ivy, Fatawu, Edward, and someone that I really grew up watching and loving, Jay Foley. Episode 4 promises to be amazing. Please make sure you follow and you keep tabs on it. Episode 4 is going to be good. It's been Mister Otu, and it's been Marketing Mavericks. Until we catch you next time, be good, stay safe, and I will catch you one more time. See you.